through this.
We're live.
Here we go.
Howdy, y'all. Howdy from Nashville, y'all. Rodrani Davy, the happiness here, and I am with the one and only Alyssa Falk. I said Falk. Y'all get your minds out of the gutter.
Or keep them there. That's fine.
Or, whatever works for you is fine. I have been in Italy. I have not even been home for 24 hours. The jet lag is happening. It's real, y'all. No joke. And this is a last minute invitation. What are we talking about today, Alyssa? I don't know.
We are talking about listening to the whispers of creative writing.
Oh my goddess, what could that possibly mean?
Well, I'll let you know it's not what you think it is.
True story, y'all. Gosh. No truer statement has been made, except for those other truer statements. Please speak more about that. What do you know, my love?
Well, I'm going to go into producer mode here and say if you are joining us live, be sure that you allow StreamYard to post your beautiful face. And if you want to stay anonymous, that's fine. It'll just let us know that you're a Facebook user. So insert promotional StreamYard tab there.
There we go. So if you ask a question, you're just Facebook user, I'm going to be like, okay, F you. I mean, Facebook user. What's your question? So yeah, let's talk a little bit about creative writing, listening to the whispers of creative writing. So I have facilitated this class once before. It ended up turning into a two-parter because these peeps wanted more. And I'll just say this piece about it. This class got created namely because I would have so many people coming up to me and going, how in the world did you write that book for Access? And I understand you wrote it in 1 week. And how did you do that? And I was like, you know what? The book wrote itself. Because the thing is if you can perceive a creation out there floating about, knocking you on the head, it's already written. And it's a matter of simply being the space to co-create with it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Alyssa, because I know you've been working on some children's books. Yes. How was that for you? What was your experience with them whispers knocking you on the head?
Well, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. That's for sure. And I would even dare to say, like, yes, books were written, and the children's books, it was a fun creation to do with my kids. But it was really more about listening to those whispers of creative writing. So it really, I'd say, opened my eyes more, allowed my allowance to catch up with my awareness of my creative writing.
Okay, I love that you said that. Let me speak to that for 1 second. Your allowance catching up with your awareness. Because here's the piece: you have an awareness that something is out there, but you're like, "Is that for me? Am I supposed to tap into that? What is that about?" I mean, I'm speaking out of turn here because I'm talking as if I'm you having this experience. I know for me it was that way. It's like, oh my goodness, what is that? What can I do with it? Am I supposed to play with this? Because if it's nagging at you, there's this thing that's going, hey, you dummy. We've got this amazing thing that we could share with the world. Are you up for it? Do you know what I'm saying when I actually say that? Because it's that space. How many of you have been out there and been like, oh, I have this book I'm supposed to write. I can feel it. It's like, it keeps me up at night, blah, blah, blah. But then when you go to write something down, I love this. People say, I have this block and writer's block, and I just can't seem to make it happen. And it's that space of letting go, being the space of the invitation. And you'd be surprised at how easy it was. So for your process, when you finally allowed your allowance to exceed your awareness, and I'm guessing, allowing yourself to actually play with the whispers, maybe? Is that what you mean by that? What showed up for
Play,
you?
or even just acknowledging it, acknowledging that I was able to tap into those.
That is the key, isn't it? So many of us are in that space of why me, or why would the whispers choose me, or
not me. I think that's where it was. Like, I'm not important. Like, they wouldn't choose me.
why would anybody want to listen to anything I have to say?
Hmm.
Did I just nail it?
Yes.
My question is, why wouldn't they? What if what you had to share is what people have been waiting for, because your voice is the way that they can actually receive it? And what
Yeah.
could that look like?
And I loved how, I forget what invitation you put out there, but I loved that you hit like, this isn't about writing. This is anything. Like, if you want to get on TikTok, if you want to have even just a social media presence, and maybe like the commenting part, like the caption part of your post is where you're like, no, I can create a wonderful graphic, but yeah, the caption part isn't going to happen.
You know, it's so funny you bring that up, because I'm in a class right now called the Ecosystems of Business. And they brought this whole piece up about, excuse me, marketing and what it's supposed to look like and what this reality tells us it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have a color scheme. All this stuff is supposed to be in place. And it's like, you know, first you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. It's this linearity. And what if everything you were ever told about creative writing wasn't even true for you? What if it was a lie? What if everything this reality tells you? I mean, I can't tell how many people say, I've taken these classes. I spent so much money trying to figure out how to write a book. I bought a program. I inserted all the things. It didn't make any sense, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know that I wrote, so y'all have written 3 books. They've all been bestsellers. How did that happen? I don't know. I wrote them for me. And that was the biggest thing. I mean, I didn't follow a formula. I wrote for me, as if I was writing to myself. I know that sounds like a strange thing to say. Well, when coming out of my mouth, it sounds strange. But like the 3rd book, I listened to the whispers, and I was asking, what would it take for me to create this access consciousness, which is this movement I'm involved with, access consciousness friendly book for those that are in it, to hand it to those that are outside of it, to get an idea in lay terms of what we be about. You know, some people see it as a self-help book, and I see it as a book of tools that you can choose or not choose that could create your life. So when I asked the whispers what was required, it said take a week off. And I thought that was just to get started, because here's my linear brain going, oh, I just need to get in the space of sitting for a week to get started. And y'all, the book wrote itself in a week. Now, I had some finessing to do. I had to go back and take a look at a few things. But quite frankly, 95% of it was done in that 1 week. And if I had followed all the formulas, because I have taken writing classes as well, and none of them really, in fact, I took 1 writing class, and we would meet weekly. I was in a wheelchair at the time. It was very interesting. So it was actually a true commitment to get there and do all the things. And it was so many classes. I don't even remember. Maybe it was 5 or 10, but they were re-upping for another 5 or 10. And I sensed that the class was holding me back. So I did a really crazy thing, and I said, I'm done. And I made it about it being difficult for me to get there, because I knew that's what they could receive. You know, and so that's what I did. And then instead of writing 1 chapter a week, I was writing 2 or 3 chapters a day. And that was my first book. Solar, where is it? So, A Healer's Pilgrim. I don't even remember the title anymore. A Healer's Pilgrimage and Homecoming. You know what? It really would help if I put my glasses on that I can't find. Here, there. Yeah, put them on. And there's some major real estate to this book, y'all. 400 pages. Okay. So I had to leave what I was told was going to work to create that. I guess that's the point of this class. If you're listening to the whispers and you're willing to actually trust what you receive as opposed to what everyone else tells you is required, you'd be at what you can create and generate. So that's what this class is about. If you're willing to step out of the constructs of this reality and what people are telling you is supposed to work and actually trust your knowing and be willing, let me put it another way, be willing to trust your knowing as opposed to being in that space of what this reality is telling you. Because so many of us are told, it's got to be this construct, it's got to be form and structure. You follow these rules, and then it's going to create and generate for you. And what if all of that is not true for you? Yeah. So here you are playing with your kids, writing children's books. Surely your children didn't give you form and structure and tell you, Mommy, it's got to be this way.
Oh, no. They were all over the place. And with your classes, I've heard you say it a few times, and I know it's a tool of access, but if you were the only person on the planet, what would you create? And that's really what this class comes down to, is tapping into, if you were the only one, what would you create? So it's not about writing, like it could be anything. If there's a creation that's speaking to you right now, this is a wonderful class to join.
Yeah, it isn't that you have to take the class and then produce a book. It could be that you're creating your future. It could be a space where you're learning how to communicate with your family or your insignificant other or your pet or your own life or your body or whatever it is. It's this space of being willing. Oh my gosh, it's a space of being willing to receive. Because that's what it comes down to. So many of us aren't willing to actually receive. We don't even know what that looks like. For a lot of us, the first time we were ever able to receive was orgasm. Sorry, here it comes. It came out of my mouth. It's like even with massage. I know so many people that have never even had a massage, and they can't imagine, all you have to do when you receive a massage is lay there and receive it. Oh my gosh. It's just, what if creating and generating your life, creating and generating a book or social media, the ticketed talk, as you were saying, all the stuff was just about being willing to receive. Walls and barriers, opening up to all the myriad of possibilities. And what could that create and generate for you? So we kind of have, we have a class coming up really super quickly. Don't we, Alyssa?
We sure do, Rue. We sure do. You're going to
I've been gone for a while, and then I got back. Alyssa, we got this class tomorrow. I wonder what invitation we could be for some more people that might not even know it's out there, because I've been playing in Italy. Sorry, not sorry. So when is this thing starting? Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow, yep. So tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, so Houston time. And then it'll be the 24th, 26th, and 28th.
Yeah, we're skipping days so I can give you some homework. Not terrible, just 2 hours every day. And Alyssa, wasn't that, you were involved in the class months ago? Pretty fucking amazing, actually.
I want to say it was 2 months ago, and I was, I have a guilty thing of doing while I'm working, like, oh, I'm not taking the class, but I took this class. And the children's book, that was the fun part. Like, once I tapped in, I asked one question, and then the first book was written within 30 minutes.
It was during the class you wrote the book.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, my favorite is what is it? The something cowboy, the
Cowgirl Mermaid.
Oh, the Cowgirl Mermaid. A series of children's books written not just by you, but by your children, that had so much form and structure in creating it.
So much.
And when you're in that space of ease, it's amazing how quickly, maybe I shouldn't even use the word quickly. I'm just going to use the word with ease. It's like things show up the way they want to show up, and it's never the way you think it's going to. At least in my interesting point of view, it's never shown up the way. When you get out of that space of form and structure and how things are supposed to show up, like I was saying before about this reality in that class I took, I discovered later that the class that I took for creative writing to write my first book, the woman that taught the class had actually never even published a book. Found that out after that. Not that there's form and structure again. Here I'm like, why would I take a class from somebody who's never published a book? But it was interesting that I'm following her points of view when she hadn't even actualized it for herself. So there's my point of view. Of interesting point of view. I would have the point of view that I should follow someone taking a class, following someone who's giving me form about how to write a book that has never published one. And I would do that for what reason? Instead of listening to the whispers and following my knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, and from this class too, it was funny just by taking this class, first sitting down and just doing homework, night one homework. I had no idea where I was going. And then the girls just came up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to write a book with them. And then they went off on this tangent of, well, what if this and what if that and what if this? So then it went from one book to a series of books.
Right, right.
And then it all like it went to creating a book with somebody who's not even in Access. They just reached out and said, hey, I've wrote this poem about my son and you do such wonderful graphics. Like I was wondering, if you knew anything about this. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Funny
The
you
timing,
ask.
right?
Yep.
Because the whispers have a tendency to tap on other people's shoulders because they get the energy of you. And that's something else I've noticed. It's like with anything, because I also write, I'm a singer-songwriter. Like, well, maybe y'all don't know that, but it's literally, I never have a difficulty writing. One line will come and then the whole song dances around it. And I just had a meeting with this writer, very successful writer, who could possibly is interested in mentoring me. And he was basically telling me the form and structure about writing a song. And I found it so interesting because I was like, well, for me, I don't start with the bass line and the drums. I actually start with a line or two that won't leave me alone in my head. And from there, I hear the bass line and I hear the drums and I hear the vocal part of it. Because literally the song he likes the best is the one where I was like, I want to write a song about, shut up. It's weird. So the song starts out with shut your mouth. And that was his favorite song. He said, it reminds me of a Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of vibe. And so it was just so funny because everything he told me was exactly the opposite of what I'd created to create his favorite song from my portfolio. And when I told him, well, actually what I did was I wanted this thing and da-da-da-da. And I wasn't even afraid to tell this guy. And this is a guy that has co-written hit songs with notables. I'm not going to be doing the name dropping. But the thing is I was like, wow, I was willing to say to him, you know what? I feel you. I hear what you're saying. And the song that you like the best, I did exactly the opposite of everything you just told me to do. So the space of being willing to follow your knowing is the piece I want you to get if you were going to choose this class. That's it. That's the bottom line. And it doesn't have to be about songwriting or writing a book, like Alyssa said, or anything. It's more about stepping into your knowing, being willing to listen to the whispers regardless of how they show up, because who knows how they're going to show up. Maybe it's a matter of you're planning on meeting friends and then you get a vibe. Oh, you know what? Maybe not the best idea. And then you find out later. I can't tell you how many times I've been invited to events and my body's going, no, 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 no. And then I tell them, you know what? I've got this going on. I can't show up. And then I hear later that it was a bust or whatever it was. And I'm like, they were like, well, I don't know what you knew, but it was terrible. If you follow your knowing, you always know where to go. And that's the space I'm inviting you to, whether it's about writing a book or not. Just because the class is called Creative Writing, Listening to the Whispers of Creative Writing, that's just the invitation. Who knows what it could create and generate for you? Who knows what it is that is niggling you to choose this? And here's the piece, you guys. If you can just ask the question, if I choose this, what will it create and generate for me? If it actually excites your body, you're going to know, because you're going to get this heart swell, or I don't know, cells dancing in your body. I don't know.
Or
Maybe
your private parts start
I was just getting ready to say, or you get horny. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. It's like, if your body gets excited, pay the fuck attention to it, okay? And if it shuts you down, I love that you said that. You must have pulled that out of my own damn head. Fabulous head. Here, this is the thing. You'll know. My feelings aren't hurt. It's not like this is an invitation. It's not like I'm trying to get you into the class. I know that every class creates. Whoever shows up creates and generates for our future. Even if we don't see it in this 10 seconds, it could be 10 years from now, but it creates. And that's the energy that I follow. Will this create with an awareness of the future and a different possibility? Because that's what I'm about. It doesn't have to be, oh, I take this class and I put this book out in the world in 1 week's time, which, by the way, it took me a year to finally put it out there. There was a lot of other things that took place and all the stuff. And it could also come out in a week or whatever.
Yeah, now more than ever, the resources that we are able to tap into, you could, if you wanted to, have a book tomorrow.
Why not? Don't make it linear is the thing, if you chose this, what could it create now or in the future? And be in the space of just following your body. Does it get excited about it? What will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? Whether it's created in 10 seconds or in 10 years. So that's the invitation. Are you willing to receive and follow your knowing? That's all I got to say about that. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's fun, we do have the details scrolling across the bottom for ease to go to rujranidavy.com/classes. We're there. You can also find it on the Access site. Again, look up Rujrani Davy under facilitators, and it's listed there. You can find it on her Facebook page. I see that's where most of you all have been checking in from. And let's see, where else?
Where else?
If you're on the mailing list, you got an email.
And I have email also. I have a
It's
lot of
on
things.
YouTube. The link is on YouTube, all over. So
Ticketed Talk.
All the places.
I don't know. I'm just going to throw it out there. Is there anyone who has a quick question before we go? Or is this it? This is it. Make no mistake where you are. I don't know. No, maybe they're all too young to know that song. I don't know.
Or maybe they're eating dinner. Maybe they're naked. Maybe they're
Maybe
having dinner.
maybe they're eating another
naked.
Did I say that out loud? Did anybody hear that? Maybe they're eating another person. I don't know. Things. Maybe they're having dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
That's good.
Well, and you'll have no fun. No fun to be had here either.
None whatsoever. So if you guys want to leap in, the fun starts tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 to 11 a.m. And it's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So we'd love to have you come play now or in the future. Ba-da-bum. Anything else?
None here.
All righty then. Well, y'all, thank you if you've actually been holding on all this long time. And all the links are there. And if we see you tomorrow, fabulous. Or in the future, it's all good. Till next time. Ciao, ciao for now.